All I did was ask, what have I earned?
He served his country, but he is now one of nearly 600,000 veterans who are still waiting for their disability benefits. Good evening, I'm Randy Beamer.
And I'm Delane Matthew. That's how big the backlog is to process those claims. The retired Marine from Canyon Lake should be getting monthly checks from the Department of Veterans Affairs.
But he hasn't gotten a penny, and now he's worried that he's going to lose his home. News 4's Emily Baucom found out the VA has a new plan to fix that backlog. Emily?
At a time when government employees face mandatory furloughs this summer, the VA is actually telling its workers to expect a lot of overtime so they can make a dent in this backlog. Meanwhile, the lives and the livelihoods of our veterans are in limbo. He was a California kid who heard the Marine Corps needed help in Vietnam and answered the call.
The Marines moved out from...
I got shot at in Vietnam for $205 a month.
Captain Rudy Malmgren served in active duty for 12 years and even longer in the reserves while he worked as a police officer. Funny thing is, it wasn't until a few years ago anyone bothered to say thank you.
It was a kid in Walmart. I was wearing my veteran's hat, and he walked up to me and he shook my hand and he said thank you. And it was kind of a shock to me because nobody had ever done that.
By then, he and his wife Karen had retired in Canyon Lake. That's when Captain Malmgren decided he needed a hearing aid.
Believe it or not, even though you can't hear it or anything, I can definitely hear it. Right now my ears are ringing. It's from loud noises. And for instance, I was in mortars in the Marine Corps, and that makes a loud noise when they go off.
He says the local VA hospital provided him with great medical care. Since then, he's had surgery to relieve pressure on his spine. So the VA gave him a 70% disability rating. That means Captain Malmgren is entitled to nearly $1,300 a month.
And until I got stuck in a position where I couldn't anymore, I didn't ask for anything from anybody.
He applied for disability payments back in November 2011. It didn't even get approved until June 2012. He says the VA gave itself a deadline of this past February to start paying up.
I didn't believe it. To process one piece of paper, 8 months. It's insane.
The deadline's come and gone. Captain Malmgren is still waiting for his money.
It's sadness and it's anger.
And he knows there are hundreds of thousands of veterans in his shoes.
We gave everything that we had.
At 62 years old, all he has left is his family and the house. He's terrified he won't make his mortgage without the VA's disability checks. So hearing that all summer more than 10,000 VA employees will work at least 20 hours of overtime per week to process the backlogged claims, well, it doesn't give him much hope.
It's going to be, I'll believe it when I see it, because just yesterday morning, I was talking to one of those 10,000 people probably, and then she told me, when I go bankrupt and have paperwork that I'm defaulting on my loan and all the nasty letters from the people I owe money to that I can't pay, that I can put those together and fax them to the VA, and then they'll expedite my case.
The Marine captain was speechless. He served his country in good faith that when the time came, his country would return the favor. So in a way, Captain Malmgren is still waiting to hear those words, thank you. He got tired of waiting for the VA to go through that backlog, so he reached out to some elected officials for help. His advice to any other veterans out there who are watching, the Texas Veterans Commission has been a great resource as he works through this never-ending process. And by the way, Captain Malmgren says if he could go back to that time when he enlisted and do it all over again, he would, in a heartbeat. Emily Baucom, News 4, San Antonio.